Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to Cosmic Culture, the channel where we talk about all major movie and television news, theories, breakdowns, and more. I'm Chris, and yes, I am sick, but there is some huge Flash news for the Flash movie, one of the most anticipated DC projects coming up that we have to talk about. Over at the Illuminati, they're doing great work, and they just got an exclusive scoop that we should be expecting the Flash film to feature surprise inclusion of Grant Gustin and his cameo in the film. Along with the scoop, we also got a quote from director Andy Muschetti, which basically confirms everything we've been talking about this film and the implications of this film, meaning for the future of the DC Universe, and don't worry, we're covering that in the video as well. Be sure to subscribe, guys. We're covering all major movie and television news, DC, Star Wars, Harry Potter, Marvel, you name it, we're talking about it here. So if you hit that notification bell, comment down below, get involved in the community, I'm sure you'll have a great time like many others who have done the same. Now, the report for two different Flashes, both Barry Allen and Grant Gustin, doesn't come as much a surprise, but this is the first we've actually heard of it, and the Illuminati giving us this scoop gives us a lot more confidence that that's the direction we're going. We're already aware that we're expecting a Flashpoint movie coming in with this Flash film, which we've already been waiting for a very long time, but the implications of a Flashpoint movie at this point in time in the DC Universe, on top of the other characters they're including, meaning two Batmans, and we're hearing maybe possibly multiple Wonder Women, and so on, shows us that DC has huge plans moving forward, and it all starts with this Flash film. Now, regarding the inclusion of two Flashes, Illuminati says, quote, "The Illuminati has exclusively learned that Grant Gustin will be making a cameo appearance in the upcoming The Flash movie." End quote. Now, Grant Gustin, for those of you who don't already know, is the CW Flash that they showed for the Flash series. Now, I'm going to go ahead and assume this is going to be the exact same actor that they're going to bring from this show. This was actually a very successful show. A lot of fans of The Flash and of DC and of superhero films all around who have watched this show have had good things to say about it. Plus, the inclusion of him, bringing him over to the DC Universe, rectifies, one, the statement that I've been saying since DC Fandom when they announced the Flash movie and how they were talking about the DC multiverse, and two, what Andy Muschetti also confirms for us in this following quote, saying, "This movie is a bit of a hinge in the sense that it presents a story that implies a unified universe where all the cinematic iterations that we've seen before are valid. It's inclusive in the sense that it is saying all that you have seen exists, and everything that you will see exists in the same unified multiverse." And that's exactly what we've been saying since Jim Lee started talking about parallel universes in the DC universe at DC Fandom right before the Flash portal happened during the same event. So they started talking about all of this DC multiverse and how all of the universes that they've ever covered line up in a parallel segmentation that allows them to potentially jump from one another. And that's exciting, and exactly what Andy Muschetti is saying here is anything that has ever happened in DC exists in the DC universe. Anything that will ever happen in the DC universe exists in the DC universe. And that's what's going to be so crazy about this Flash movie is it will be presenting that moment, or as director Andy Muschetti says, is the hinge for that moment where these worlds collide and will have the ability to collide with one another. Now, exactly how that's going to stick around and happen, I'm not 100% sure, because we know the Flash has the quantum abilities that will allow him to run through time and through space, essentially, meaning through parallel universes, and that makes sense, but how it's going to remain open, I don't really understand. Maybe they'll include an ability for him to create a portal which will enable the universe, the DC universe, to remain connected. Now, this is the big question. Is this the saving grace for DC? One of the big questions we've all had as fans are, what is going on over at DC? We have a Suicide Squad reboot sequel, which is how they described it, and we have multiple Batman, multiple Jokers. It never ends with how many different do-overs DC has decided to take. But this is a very plausible and well thought out answer for why we have 4 Supermen and 12 Batman and 19 Jokers and 3 different Flashes, 1 in a TV series, 1 in a movie, 1 from a different universe. Where's Zack Snyder's universe fit into all of this with the Justice League? And it's all over the place. The timeline has never been continuous, and the DCEU has faltered because of that. However, if DC and Warner Brothers decide to move forward with the DC Universe, putting the DCEU simply as one parallel universe in a huge line of multiverses, that could be really cool. That could explain why we've had different Harley Quinn movies with different attitude and characters of Harley Quinn. Maybe every single Harley Quinn movie took place in a different parallel universe where the same Harley Quinn, the same looking character, exists. Jim Lee expounded on these parallel universes, saying they go on forever and anybody could be anybody in them. Any character could be any gender, race, or any form of creature in any parallel universe. So the opportunities are literally endless for the DC Universe, and following this Flash movie, we might be starting to see some crazy stuff. But we also, most importantly, might start seeing some connecting dots if DC plays their cards right here that will allow us to understand so much about what we haven't understood in the DC timeline up to this point. I'm hoping we get some type of explanation or team-up show between different parallel universes. The Suicide Squad and the Suicide Squad fight each other, or join forces to beat some multiverse death-seeking creature. It would be super cool to see that happen, to see two Harley Quinns and Deadshot with Idris Elba, and this would be a cool way of explaining the crazy timelines going on over at DC. This truly is some gigantic news coming from the Illuminati and from DC today. One, because it's super excited that we're going to have two different Flashes in our Flashpoint movie, which of course was almost a requirement and we were expecting, but I'm pretty much sure that this is a confirmation for us now. And two, because this quote from Andy Muschetti means so much more than I think we will appreciate until we finally get it. The hinge that will connect the DC Universe is this Flash movie. That's a confirmation coming from the director, so expect bigger things coming from DC after this movie, leading up to this movie, and anything happening around this movie. It's going to be a crazy, crazy time. And I, for one, am very excited to see how that plays out and how that connects in the DC Universe. But we already know we have Michael Keaton, we already know we have Ben Affleck's Batman, now we know we have Grant Gustin making a cameo appearance, we already have Barry Allen involved, there are a lot of different rumored characters like Wonder Woman, we're hearing we might get a second Wonder Woman, and many, many more. So overall, an awesome opportunity coming with this film, but let me know what you guys think, what you're expecting, what you hope to see, and who you want to be involved in this hinge movie for the DC Universe. As always, thank you to everybody watching to the very end of the video. If you found it helpful, useful, or entertaining, be sure to subscribe to the channel, turn on that notification bell, and I'll see you right here in the next upload on Cosmic Culture.